for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests waiting to be profiled are chef, caterer Wendy Brodie and Acme Theater artistic director Travis Oates. Wendy Brodie was born and raised in San Francisco. She went to UC Berkeley and was a graduate of the first class at the California Culinary Academy in San Francisco. Wendy is an acclaimed chef, artist, caterer, cooking class instructor, and TV personality. She also owned a restaurant, so she's a restaurateur as well. It seems you always wanted to cook, Wendy. Is that true?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Joan. And I will say I went to school a little south of Berkeley, and I'll date myself at UC Santa Barbara when the bank was burning and the riots were there. And then I scooted up to the California Culinary Academy.
Oh, of course. And then what was your first job?
Well, my goodness, Simpson's Restaurant in Carmel was my very first job, and I started off as a hostess there. And the pastry woman was going to go off and thought she had to quit because she wanted to go to Puerto Rico. And so I said, well, can't you just train me and then you can have your job back? And that got me into the kitchen professionally.
Is that right? But you had already gone to the school?
No, I hadn't. That's what was a catalyst to get me up there. But I always loved cooking. My mother and I grew up watching Julia Child, and I'd have my high school friends. And my mother said I learned to cook because I came from a dysfunctional kitchen.
Oh, the kitchen. Oh, that's good. You have so many career slots in your bio. Which one is the most difficult? Is chef the most difficult?
Oh, goodness. Well, it's high intensity. It's immediate gratification or immediate disappointment.
Oh, I see. But physically?
Physically, well, you do need to be in good shape, but art being another career that I looked at venturing into in my early days, and then food became my art, they're all physical. I think anything in life is pretty.
Catering? How difficult is that?
Demanding, yes.
And one thing you do is you shop for others?
Yeah.
Or you help fix their kitchens?
Yes,
what do you do
so
with that?
many people are building, and of course they ask me, oh, Wendy, can you take a look at my plans? And I've been involved in my own building projects, 2 kitchens, and if there was anything I learned, simplicity and flexibility are the key things in kitchen design.
Oh, so that is what you do.
Well, I love it's one aspect that I love to give my 2 cents worth.
One aspect. The other one is this PBS show that you had.
Yes, it's called
great.
Art of Food Television with Wendy Brodie, and for me it's just such a gift, as I'm sure you experience with this show. You're able to have your favorite people, chefs that you admire, and then I'm able to, showcase some of my own ideas.
Do you use your own kitchen for that show?
Yes.
So that was the simple kitchen you built?
Yes.
And what, did you have a little trademark that was different from anybody else's? Because there are a lot, with the Food Channel, there are a lot of shows, right?
Yes. Gosh, that's a tough question to answer. I would say because of my taste in art and a lot of the things that were in our home, that I really went with black and brown and metallic, like I'm
you're
wearing today. Yes, I'd blend in. I'd be a talking head in my own kitchen.
You talk about having some of your favorite chefs on. I know you've worked with Martha, Julia, Madeline Cameron.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about each one of them, your working experiences.
Gosh. Julia, of course, what person and chef doesn't just love her to pieces? And I was able to do 2 events with her when I worked at another job, and one was a boar dinner, and I was asked to make one of her 80th birthday cakes, one of her many.
Oh, that was great.
And so I did a wonderful boar platter that a friend of mine, ceramicist, had made, and then I used her chocolate mold, or her mold, plaster mold, to make a boar chocolate. And so she remembered coming out to the ranch, which was a place I worked at for 8 years. Then I got to cook at another friend's house for Martha in her very early days. And so I only saw the best of Martha, and of course I still get her magazines and cookbooks, and I think there's
very talented, very
tremendously.
I think you have a lot of your artistic ability from your father, who was an illustrator.
Correct. Both my parents are artists. My dad was famous. My mother decided to, take a second seat to that. But he started the film of artist journalism for CBS Evening News, which he gives my mother credit for that idea.
And he was already, he's just been inducted into the Illustrators Hall of Fame.
Yes, in New York. And he still is active at 90. He is fabulous, but I grew up in a total art background where color, texture, everything is just, it's all about aesthetics. Life has to be about aesthetics.
I think when you talked about brown and black, I think what you brought today, you brought this fabulous chocolate cake, and I can't lift it. Well, maybe I can't, because I think
heavy.
it's so artistic. You have chocolate leaves.
Chocolate leaves. The back of camellia leaves were painted with chocolate, and we have some,
one
so
of
you
those
can maybe
here.
peel. You want me to hold that?
But tell me about this gold on top of it. I'm going to see if I can peel this. Oh, I can peel it.
Oh, good for you.
I
That's
left part
great.
of it off.
Oh, well, that's beautiful.
But why can't I use the greenery?
You could. That's just not the edible part, though.
The edible part is everything
There's a plain
else.
chocolate right there
I have
without
a plain
the leaf.
without peeling.
Already
great.
peeled.
I'm going to do that, so I have that.
But the edible gold and silver, I always used to buy it at art stores, and now it's being commercially and retail for any of us, for somebody who is in the home as a home cook, or us professional chefs.
It's silver, it's gold.
It's edible silver,
and
it comes in 3 ways. It comes in this wonderful shaker to put on top of, well, like that cappuccino we have over there.
I'm going to see if I can do this. Can you hold this right there?
Sure.
And then I'm going to...
Yeah, just shake it on.
Oh, look at the leaves.
Isn't that gorgeous? And then we're floating it in a liqueur, too, and so it can almost be stirred up with like a stirring stick, and it'll be like
I see it
snowflakes.
Around.
Yes.
That's beautiful. And then you have some brownies that you've dusted.
Oh, yes. We've dusted the brownies, and then these wonderful pirouettes, the chocolate ones, with the whole leaf, you just wrap.
Yeah, that's great.
The whole leaves come like this. And
isn't this difficult to work with?
No, it isn't. This is what's so user-friendly about the shaker and these petals that we have on here.
Oh,
look at this.
I have to show this to the camera.
Isn't that gorgeous? But then you use the little tweezers, and then, you just can fluff, and of course it helps to have a damp surface so it adheres.
That's so beautiful. And you can eat this?
Oh yes, and silver has antibacterial properties, so it's very healthy. And of course, edible gold for centuries used to be used in curries in India and in royalty and palaces.
The chocolate.
Oh, a brownie. These are our brownies, and there's a little added truffle on top.
Can I put something? Is this going that?
Yes, add some more. Add some more.
Oh, look, it gets and
the whole leaf petals. Oh yes, oh yes. Even good for your health. The gold is supposed to be heart healthy. Did you know that?
No, so this. Oh, but it's so artistic.
Well,
I'm going to taste this.
What I want to do is have salt and pepper like these. Don't they look like salt and pepper? Right by my salt and pepper, and that way for savory things on top of caviar or soups, like I
use
this on top of a soup bowl, and whether it's the petals or the chopped silver, and the silver is, they're just making a whole new splash. I haven't had the edible silver before.
But that's really beautiful.
Isn't it lovely?
And talking about being artistic, this is really artistic, isn't it?
Oh, well, it's so much fun to play with because it can be fluffy, as we've done here. It can lay flat. It can be used
and I
in
love the way
drinks.
it kind of flies around.
And then with the Silver Seas tour that I'm going to go on, we're going to create the Bache Oro, the kiss of gold. And so in champagne or wine, you can either put it on a rim or here, you can.
It's on the bottom or it's on the outside?
Well, this is actually gold leaf in the glass, but we're going to shake some.
You mean like ice choke?
Right.
I'm like going crazy shaking. Oh.
And then when it gets down to the tail end, you will give the golden kiss. Bache Oro.
Oh, great.
Or Argento Bache, the kiss of silver.
Oh. Too
Wouldn't
much.
I mean, whether it's champagne or your favorite wine.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Are you using that up at the Ventana Inn where you cook sometimes or you teach?
My husband was Mr. Ventana for over 20 years, and had he known about this, he would have had me doing this, but that's the man I married.
Oh.
And so he's very active with me, and of course we go down to Ventana and I teach cooking classes.
I know
there.
You teach. That's
so
another career.
My next one will be using their edible gold.
Edible gold.
Yes.
Thank you, Wendy. I know you flew down to be on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. What a treat to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do for the art world.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for watching this part of the Joan Quinn Profiles. We'll be right back with Travis Oates. Welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm with Travis Oates. Travis was born in California and raised in Canada, where he excelled as a child actor. His forte, comedy, he went with this improvisational group called Cornucopia. Travis, what kind of roles were you playing as a child actor in Canada?
As a child actor, surprisingly, I was playing the young, handsome, disturbed youth.
Disturbed?
Yes, I was constantly the kid who was in an ABC after school special who drank too much, or showing the dangers of smoking, or premarital sex, or whatever. I was always doing something bad.
But you were on stage too. Did you do that as well?
Most of the stuff that I did on stage was musicals.
As a child?
Yeah, I did a ton of. That's how I got into theater in general. I started as a junior vocalist and high tenor voice.
Oh, really?
And and somebody saw me and was about to put on the musical Oliver, and I was this little, thin, practically white-haired kid at the time, and
adorable.
Yeah. So I did Oliver for a while there.
In Canada?
Yeah.
Did you take singing lessons? And were you like a real Did your mother push you and make you take singing, dancing, drama?
Here's what's funny. My mother and my father never pushed me, but I pushed me.
Oh, you pushed yourself?
I pushed my parents into pushing me. I mean, I really, I don't know what it was, but ever since I was a young kid, I have wanted to be in the entertainment business.
Oh.
So I was the one saying I need to have singing lessons and dancing lessons.
You did?
And all that. Yeah. From literally as I think when I was 4 years old, my mom has a little thing that was, tell them what you want to be when you grow up.
Uh-huh.
And I had two things I wanted to be. One was Batman, which didn't work out, and the other was an actor, which did. So.
Which did work out. And then you, as you grew up, I guess you went with this improvisational group.
Yeah. There was a group called Cornucopia up in British Columbia, Canada, and I started with them.
Oh, you were up on our coast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, up the Vancouver area. Port Moody is where I grew up for part of it, which is just outside of Vancouver. And I was one of the youngest people to ever be in this improv group.
Oh, I wonder. Did you learn a lot from that? Different kinds of acting ability?
Oh, sure. I mean, what's funny is up to that point, I had really done only serious things. If you see any of the stuff that I did when I was a young kid, it was all serious. I didn't do any comedy when I was a kid. I mean, the closest it would come to maybe was a musical comedy, like I'm trying to think of like a Bye Bye Birdie or something like that. But I mean, other than that, I was pretty much a serious actor when I was a kid.
Well, then, there is so much work in Canada because there's a lot of drama, theater, movies being made in Canada. Why would you come back to California when you were being so successful up there?
Well, I kind of moved away from being an actor for a while. I decided to go to college. I actually studied as a music composition major.
Oh.
So, and I decided to do that in America. I think I was 17 when I moved to America.
Where'd you take that, go to school?
I went to University of Pacifica, UOP, up in Stockton.
Yes.
Yeah, which is mostly it's kind of like a fame-esque arts intensive type college.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
oh, that's good.
Very, very well known for its arts program. And so I had never really grown up in America. Didn't know much about America, even though I was born there. So I decided to go to college in America, and I've kind of been here ever since.
And then in San Francisco, did you settle in San Francisco for a while?
For a while, I was in San Francisco. I had a group called CIA Comedy in Action, or Comedians in Agony.
But the other thing, you wrote a musical. Now I know why you wrote the musical, because you were a music major.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't understand that. Sessions, which was a big, right?
Actually, the musical was Manhattan Underground, and then I wrote a play called Sessions.
Oh, I see.
The musical Manhattan Underground we produced it in the San Francisco area, and it also did some stuff in New York. So that was pretty successful. I was 19 at the time.
Really? Did you perform in it?
I did not perform in it. I wrote it and directed it. I came this close to be getting in the Guinness Book of World Records as a result.
For doing everything, or for the age?
For the age that I was doing everything.
Oh, I see.
But some guy named Mozart wrote some kind of an opera.
Oh, yeah, when he was
young,
like 12.
When he was 12, so I lost out on that. I tried to fight and say opera's not musical theater, but they wouldn't listen to
But then how did Sessions come about? That was a real comedy because you were likened to Neil Simon in your reviews.
Yeah, Sessions was the first actual play that I had written, and it got rave reviews. It was one of those things where I was getting a lot of success as a playwright, and I kind of decided that if this didn't really carry me someplace out of San Francisco, if this didn't really take me somewhere fantastic,
like New York,
Broadway, exactly, that I would stop writing plays and go to Los Angeles and start doing movies and television, and it. Although got me all kinds of kudos and some great reviews and some great blurbs to put on a resume
for me to read.
Exactly, it didn't really take me to the next level. So I decided to move to Los Angeles.
Well, you came to Los Angeles and you went to Acme.
Yeah.
Why did you go to Acme? Just to teach, or to learn, or to perform?
To perform, actually. I had originally auditioned for the Groundlings, and I auditioned into the Groundlings program, and one of the people that was there when I auditioned must have been kind of like an Acme mole or something, because they were like, "Psst,
let's get him.
Come over here and try Acme, because you can audition directly into a performing group.
Was it a competition? Is it
Yeah,
Acme the same kind of thing as Groundlings, where it's improvisational or teaching, writing?
Improv and sketch. Acme and the
Improv
Groundlings.
and sketch?
And sketch, yeah. The Groundlings and Acme are very similar. I would say that Acme considers the Groundlings their chief competitor, and the Groundlings probably don't know that we exist. So it would depend on who you asked. But I think the Groundlings know we exist, but I don't know if they consider us.
But there you were, doing a lot of the same kind of things that you wanted to do at the Groundlings, I guess.
Yeah. I went right into a performing group at Acme, and I performed there for, about 7 years.
Oh, you did, and you also taught there. What
yeah.
were you teaching? I know, let me ask you. You were teaching sketch comedy. What is that? How do you teach that?
Well, sketch is basically, it's short, it's a little short play, comedic play, basically.
I see.
Like you've seen on Saturday Night Live or Mad TV.
Like what, 4 or 5 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
And it's actually very, very complex. It's one of the most difficult things to write. I've written books. I've written for newspaper, for radio, for TV, and for movies. And it's really one of the hardest things to write, because you have such a small amount of time to get a full story across the audience.
You have to really pare it down, I guess.
Yeah, you have to be...
And make every word count.
It's what I call my comedy laser. I say I need to use the comedy laser and know exactly what you're trying to go for, and get that across. And so that's what I was teaching. There was actually, when I started teaching sketch comedy, there was no set method. All the other places in town, including Acme at the time, would teach sketch by just saying, go up and do something funny, and we'll tell you if it's not funny, but we can't really tell you why. So I sat down for about a year and developed, just like you might learn how to write a screenplay, and developed a set of guidelines that have been very effective in teaching sketch.
But you wrote this book called
The Acme Method.
The Acme Method. So is that included in that?
Yes, that's actually part of the course, and we use that as a big tool to help them learn sketch.
When you're talking about sketch, is it important? Do you teach timing, and do you teach what else? How to be funny? I mean, do you teach those kind of things?
I think you can't really teach somebody how truly to be funny.
I know.
I think somebody is funny or they're not funny. You can try and give them line readings and tell them try to do this in a specific way, but I think people there's a certain something that makes them funny or doesn't. What we try to do, just like we would do if you took a screenwriting course, we say here's the format, and here's the guidelines that will help you make that easier for you to take what you know is funny, the comedian inside yourself, and put it on paper.
And the reason I think you became so interested in Acme is because you finally bought it. You worked your way up and bought it, right?
Yeah, I did. I bought Acme a little over a year ago now, in a coup of sorts. The fellow who ran it for 15 years, basically, it's hard running a theater for 15 years in Los Angeles, and I think he was ready to move on.
So now you're the artistic director.
I am. I'm the artistic director and owner and grand poobah of the
And what do you do?
I oversee all of the shows. We have 8 shows a week.
Give me a real quick rundown before we run out of time.
Sure. We have What's My Line, which is just like the old game show.
Yeah.
Hosted by J. Keith Van Straten on Wednesdays. On Thursdays we have Liquid Radio, which is...
I've come to that. That's great. Yes. Radio readings. People like old stars.
It's actually, it's not radio readings, it's improvised radio.
Oh, that's right.
So it's like we construct a radio show, but all the pages are blank. It looks like we're reading it or not.
I know. That was great.
Yeah. Isn't that a lot of fun? On Fridays, we have, that's our improv night, and we have our 2 improv companies perform on Fridays. On Saturday, we now have the main sketch show, which is Acme Crime and Punishment, which is a bunch of sketches kind of around the idea of punishing people. And we have our Sunday show right now, which is called Charlie and the Chocolate Sundae Show.
You've had a lot of old stars, or stars come, not old stars.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Dick Van Patten was there, Rosemary, Margaret O'Brien.
Yeah, Rosemary is a big supporter of the Acme, and we just love her. She's been there 3 or 4 times.
But she's a comedian. And if you had to be funny on a dare, can you do something funny? I'm not going to dare you, but I think so. I think yeah.
It all depends on the situation. I mean, if you were asked me to be funny at a funeral, that might be challenging. But if you asked me to be funny in just a regular setting, I think I could probably.
Do people do that to you because they know you're a comedian? They know you're
Well, not
working
so much
there?
here in Los Angeles. Now, when I was in San Francisco and was in an improv group, yeah. But in Los Angeles, you know, you can't walk 5 feet without tripping over somebody who has a sitcom. So, you know, in Los Angeles, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rosemarie, by the way, is still funny. She has got the mind that she had when she was a 20-year-old.
Is it all timing, or is it wit?
It's a combination of both. I think wit is something that you have, and timing is something that you learn. You know, I think you get the timing down, but you know, it all depends. Some people are smart. I mean, like you have a Jerry Seinfeld who's very specific and observational, and then you have people who are just kind of visceral comics.
They don't have to have everything written for them.
Right.
They don't have to have every line written. Would that be a differential too?
Yeah, people who are just kind of intrinsically, you know, like a Jerry Lewis type that's just a wacky kind of.
But there are different types like that. Like you say, there's that wacky personality, or that's the witty personality.
Yeah.
And you have a feasting ground for all of those people?
Yeah, we have all types at the Acme. They really run the gambit. We've got some fantastic. I'm most proud of the fact that we have so many funny women. You don't find a lot of funny women in sketch, and we have some of the best, I think, in sketch.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming and telling us about Acme.
Anytime.
I love to go over there. You can come every single night, right, and see something different.
Yeah, we have everything from Wednesdays to Sundays, and sometimes on Tuesdays and Mondays, depending on the week.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thanks for watching. And keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. We'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.